Okay, so let's talk about the trends now. We know now that we live in the digital world.
Yep.
Everything is digital. We talk about digitalization, data sharing, huge amount of data. How do you see the role of digital transformation
Yep.
and advanced analytics evolving in S&OP?
Okay. S&OP, some people would say is a process, yeah. Okay. Otherwise, if you have a S&OP tool, it is a tool, yeah. So it's a tool to show you a nice dashboard, a nice KPIs, a good collaboration example, yeah. But when you say the data analytics, the advanced analytics tool, is a skill set for individuals.
Okay.
If we can show a lot of dashboard, tapi orangnya nggak bisa understand, interpret, understand behind the dashboard itu what's the real story. Itu is actually the skill that a lot of people will need. That involve a lot of critical thinking. Because it's not just looking at dashboard, oh gitu. People have to ask, kenapa ya dashboardnya itu? Why is this number like that? Is there a certain reason happening behind here? So that's where I think for the advanced data analytics it's very important for people to really make full use of the S&OP. They need to understand what's going on. If there's a trend going down or going up, people don't just accept, oh turun, udah. Tapi the real thing is they need to go and ask question, kenapa turunnya? Bayar kan lebaran supposednya meningkat. So that's where I think that's a very important role, yeah. Especially I notice in the market now, more and more people in, let's say, supply chain will have to get a bit more technical. So I saw some companies will start to hire more IT related, someone who has a bit more skill to actually understand a bit more from the data. So in some cases, people start to look at business process improvement role. Otherwise, they'll look at business analyst role in supply chain. So that's a very interesting way, because last time you always think about supply chain itu apa? Supply planner, demand planner, procurement. But suddenly IT juga masuk nih.
IT.
So it's a very interesting thing to see. The importance of supply chain in the company starts to get more awareness. People start to understand there's a data there. They need to understand the data to be able to make good decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the role of this digital transformation is more about how to analyze data and how to make the data will give beneficial information for decision making.
Yeah. Maybe on top of the digital transformation, is transformation kan. So one core element is actually change management juga.
Change management.
That's also very important. You see companies itu dari IT maturity maybe 10 years, 20 years ago, semuanya basic ERP. 5 years or 10 years, or maybe 5 years ago, you start to see a lot of companies start to adopt warehouse management system, transport management system. Ya kan? Because they see the importance of the data point, touch point. Recently, I saw a lot of companies start to look into inventory optimization system, which is why for my company itu bagus kan. There's a trend now. We can help the people or we can help the customers in this particular area.
As you said before about change management.
Yep.
And transformations means change, and some people reluctant to change. How you think that company need to deal with this reluctance from people who do not want to change in S&OP process?
This one is a tough question, yeah. This is a tough question. By my recommendation to a lot of customers is, usually people are resistant to change because they are afraid.
Okay, afraid.
They are afraid, yeah. Afraid itu kan knowledge baru. They don't know whether they can do well or not. Kalau kerja mereka udah santai, udah complacent, udah happy kan, why would I want to change?
Yeah.
Tapi they need to understand itu in the business world, things are changing. Kan mesti evolve terus kan. So they need to increase their knowledge. Companies usually I recommend itu hantar mereka ke training.
Okay.
Right? For supply chain knowledge, my companies do training as well. Right? We do workshop, we do certification. Okay, as for our customers lah ya. So that's a part and parcel of service supaya kita bisa bantu upgrade skill set customers kita. Okay, but if you have trained, you have already done your part, and the people still do not want to change, usually that's a hard decision that the company need to decide.
Okay.
Value add-nya di mana di sana, right? If the value add is not there, or the company don't mind to hire extra person to support this person, by all means. Tapi kalau memang value add-nya, the person is resistant to change, the company can't grow because of, let's say, people are not changing, kan? It becomes a company decision.
Okay.
So there's no right and wrong in this. It's more of company, what do you want to do? Right?
Okay, another challenge.
Yeah, that's a different challenge.
Different challenge.
That's a different
Okay,
challenge.
let's talk about another challenge.
Yes, yep.
About the development of market today.
Yep.
A lot of people are prefer to make online payment.
Yeah.
That's why some companies move into omni-channel retailing.
Yes.
How should these S&OP strategies adapt to meet customer demand? We know that customers becoming more and more demanding, especially for delivery time. You know, when we try to buy something, we really hope that the next hour the product's already coming. How to face this problem? How S&OP helps to meet this customer demand?
I'll also be honest, I'm also one of the customer.
Yeah.
Ketik Tokopedia aja, okay, I want to be within the next 3
Next
hours.
1 hour.
Barangnya belum datang. I'll be like, okay, where's my item? But you're true, yeah. Consumer is becoming, or customers are becoming more and more demanding. Because sekarang itu, we have so much accessibility.
Yeah.
Kita ketik aja, whatever, we can see, okay, where is it? I want it now. But if you don't want it, then you start to look for other competitor, kan?
Yeah.
So, for business owner itu, customer service becomes one of the key area. Kenapa? If I get a good customer service, I get good customer loyalty. Okay? And for me to get a good customer service, like what you say, kan, a lot of companies start to be creative. Okay? It can be from e-commerce, it can be an offline store, it can be even like cash and carry, beli, ambil. Or it can be buy from the store, take from the national DC, itu kan juga beda. So there's a lot of different creative ways companies are actually coming out there to make sure customer happy.
Okay.
Kan itu kita customernya kita tentu happy kan, ini bisa gitu ya. So but with this complexity kan, it starts to affect how S&OP is being handled. So example ya, I would say demand forecasting for e-commerce is different from offline store. Because offline store kan, you can see it's a very stable thing. People like to see, like to touch. Indonesia itu they like to have a feel ya. Have a feel, oh ini bagus, saya beli. Tapi online store itu beda, you cannot feel, cannot touch. Right? You can just click and then buy. So sometimes in e-commerce is very driven by a lot of, how to say, trend. Okay, kemungkinan someone went in TikTok, show something, everyone starts buying. It's a huge spike. So typically kalau kita lihat di dalam e-commerce kind of business ya, the demandnya very unpredictable. Yeah, there can be a lot of sudden spike. Yeah. Okay, tapi offline store-nya bukan seperti itu. Okay, so that's why when S&OP, this one is good because why? With a proper S&OP tool ya, what we see, like what we do for customers kan, kita bisa evaluate, because if you have a mixture of all the different channel, the demand itu kan, basically the fluctuation itu bisa balance out.
Okay.
Right? Although e-commerce is very fluctuative, tapi it could also be balanced out with some offline store, with some other methods. So if you have all this information or these different multi-channels, okay, and you put that into a data platform, kan the S&OP tool-nya bisa understand, oh ini tipenya cash and carry, ini tipenya e-commerce, ini tipenya offline store example. Okay, it can already tell you risiko kamu di mana. Where should you put more inventory supaya you don't lose the customer? Okay.
Is it affect the forecasting process in S&OP?
Yes.
Between the offline and online?
Yes, it's basically affecting, because why? The way you plan demand forecasting for online and demand forecasting for offline, it could be different. Because the consumer behavior is different. Right? So offline store itu is affected by the people staying surrounding. Okay? But online store is anywhere, whoever has access, you can buy. Okay. So that's where the demand forecasting, you can see a slight difference. Or maybe not slight, a lot of difference.
Okay, so we move on to more global problems. We know that there's a lot of problems recently that will affect how the supply chains operation. In your opinion, what strategies do you recommend for enhancing supply chain resilience through S&OP?
Yep.
Especially for some cases happen in global supply chain today.
Yep. So, example, yeah, the recent cases, one of the few recent cases, of course, the war, yeah. So the war create a lot of supply chain disruption. Okay, the Red Sea case or the Suez Canal case creates a lot of delay in shipping line, right? COVID creates a lot of chaos in the whole world. That's the biggest crazy impact in supply chain. So to companies itu kan kita mesti belajar ya. Things happen, right? We need to learn from the example to say, okay, how do we prevent this? Which is called supply chain resilience. How resilient you are in handling disruption in future. So if you see a lot of companies itu, last time there's a term they call it just in time, JIT. Everyone is actually promoting JIT every day JIT. JIT is good when things are predictable.
Yeah.
Ya kan? If everything constant JIT, okay, confirm. Tapi sekarang itu a lot of people start to put just in case. Itu yang lebih ke resilience ni. Of course, there's a trade-off ya. Or yesterday I learned itu they call it orchestra. So what is the right balance in between? Okay, just in case it means you need to bring some of the risk over to, let's say in Indonesia, supaya kalau disruption outside of the world itu affected, you still have some safety. Kalau memang affected, but it's not a lot of big effect, ya kan? So a lot of people start to change to just in case. Just in case itu means they'll start to build up extra safety stock. Okay, so like for me, what I do recommendation for customers is I put in the tool for them, which is called Slim 4. We will start to calculate for all the changes recently. Okay, because kan kita check the current trend kan based on their data. What is the optimal safety stock yang kamu mesti ada? Optimal safety stock itu juga tergantung lead time kamu.
Okay.
So if we focus on the constant lead time, which a lot of customers are using, constant lead time doesn't work. They need to use the actual lead time or at least a calculated lead time. Even the supplier promise you, maybe the deal has done, you work together with a US supplier. 2 years ago, they tell you lead time-nya maybe 2 months. Okay. Tapi we didn't know sekarangnya lead time bukan 2 months lagi. It becomes maybe 5 months already.
Because of the disruption.
Yeah, exactly. So if nobody changed this 2 months to 5 months, you're always potentially at a risk. So what companies are doing is, number one, they recalculate the lead time, increase the safety stock supaya it reflects the current situation. Okay, so they're safe, yeah. And then one more thing that I start to see is they call it offshoring. For bigger companies itu, instead of they produce in their own country, they throw it overseas. Offshoring itu bagusnya di negara-negara yang developing. So example, Vietnam, okay, Thailand, Indonesia is actually one of the best, one of the good places, where they start to build the capacity to manufacture, to produce this in it. And this becomes a new supplier. Okay, for Indonesia, if everything is produced locally here, kan itu bagus untuk Indonesia. The lead time, I'm not affected by all the sea issues already. Internally udah bisa selesai. So for companies, there's a lot of different ways for you to get a bit more resilient, in terms of supply chain planning. And maybe on top of this, kan kita juga bahas dengan S&OP planning kan, with the proper tool to help you to plan, kan the tool supposed to help you to check every single day. Okay, that's a very good way for you to be resilient. Kenapa? You are with the tool giving you alert, like, kenapa ya ini lead time-nya udah makin panjang, demand customer-nya semakin mendadak. It's actually prompting you to say that, guys, you need to take a look at this. Jangan sampai ke, alamak, udah kejadian.
So we need to make an alert.
Yes, more proactive, less of reactive.
Okay.
So that's where the tool could be very interesting.
That's about resilience. How about agility?
Agility is actually the same thing as the tool, yeah. Agility means you need to be alert fast. Right? If I can provide you a tool, and before things happen, you are already being informed. Okay, can you take a look at this? Can you take a look at this location, this item, this raw material, this supplier? Something is going on. This is excess. You already take action, kan? Sebelum maybe 3 months later, too late.
Something happened.
Yeah. So you want the agility is number one. Of course, you talk about data sharing. If everyone is aware of situation, they can react fast. React is usually I try to avoid lah, yeah. What you want is before things fall into situation, you want to proactively approach it.
Okay.
Before the whole thing expand into maybe 9 months, 10 months of inventory, maybe you start to take action already.
Okay. Then you already said before that S&OP is a top and down process.
Yep.
While we need to be agile too, how to make a balance, because when the decision is top and down, we
Yep.
need a lot more time.
Yeah. So S&OP is top down, yeah. Okay, which is true, yeah. So S&OP is more of a process where the management is observing, they are making management decision, kan. But the actions are done from S&OE above.
Okay.
So sales and operation execution.
Okay.
The day to day, kalau demandnya is different. Fast moving suddenly becomes slow moving. Supply-nya gak masuk. Lead time-nya 30 hari, tapi datangnya udah 60 hari belum datang.
Okay.
These people are the foundation. Okay, if they do the foundation correctly, the S&OP dari management kan bisa dapat data yang lebih benar. They can use this data to make better decision to vendors, to customers, to anyone else.
Okay. Get it. For the final question, actually you already explained before about the skills, like analytical skills and then computing and others. Is there any skills that human resource in company need to have in S&OP?
Of course, the basic lah ya, in S&OP, sales and operation planning kan, inventory planning, your demand forecasting, all these kan biasa ya. That's more, I would say more on the soft skill itu, yang paling penting itu critical thinking.
Critical thinking.
Right? Can they observe a situation and then provide a solution? A lot of us itu lihatnya masalahnya, gimana ya? Pass to the boss, boss gimana? So we are always at this position where we don't think a bit more and okay, let's find a solution. Maybe I can try this one solution, try this two solution, try this three solution. I try 1,001 solutions, I can actually talk to my boss. Boss, ini solusinya yang paling bagus. Saya udah jalan ini semua, I already start evaluate all this possibility. This is the best. That's where you need people to have. Because I think it's also an education, of how we see in Asia. So in Malaysia, I was there. Okay, I've seen education in Singapore. I've also understood a bit more from my peers about education in Indonesia. So in Asia itu a lot of time we need to be trained to do a bit more critical thinking. We want to be able to do a lot of problem solving. Because we are not just a robot kan, I just tell me, I execute kan. Kita manusia, that's the value thing about the humans. We can think, we can provide solution, right? Then that's one on the critical thinking. Of course, analytics important. After you observe, you need to understand. This is very interesting, yeah. After you observe the data, the most important with the critical thinking, you understand the story behind the data. Not just take the data itu, okay gitu, I pass. But if you cannot understand the story behind the data, you really can't interpret what's going on. Okay, and then you can actually put into a report to your boss or report to some management lah ya. And of course, I think the most important sekarang IT knowledge also getting very important. Yeah, even the normal basic Excel, we look up all this. That's also very important sekarang.
Okay, actually already said before that how to take these skills is by training. But is there any other ways to elevate and acquire these skills? Except of training?
I would say it comes back to everyone's curiosity and initiative, with the right curiosity, there's a lot of ways you can reach it. If you have a will, you have a way. Okay? If you really want to understand something, you'll do a lot of ways to find it. Bisa tanya ChatGPT, bisa go LinkedIn Learning, we can go anywhere, right? Can go subscribe for a library portal. You can. The most important thing, actually, maybe I think is for people who's working. Mentor is very good. Mentor is always one of the most important. I have the privilege to get a lot of mentors in my career. In my first company, I got quite a fair bit of mentor within the same company. In my second company, I was lucky to get a few mentors. In my current company, I'm also lucky to get a very good mentor. Okay, so I would say I'm quite lucky in a way because I always meet the right people. Tapi for us, yeah, individual itu, we just need to be humble. Just go and meet people. Okay, anyone out there is actually our source of knowledge. Be it today, even today, you're also my source of knowledge. Saya juga belajar yang baru juga. So, as much as possible, we try to learn from other people. That's, I think, the most important thing that I feel, especially for the newer generations of graduates or people in working environment.
Okay, interesting. So it also needs the curiosity for all the people to learn more, gain more skills, so they can adapt with the technology and make the S&OP process getting better.
Correct.
Okay, I think that's all for the question. For the final, maybe Ryan, could you give some key points how to make the S&OP successful S&OP? Some key points for the successful S&OP.
Okay. The most important for S&OP is the same. I would say my biggest question to people do you have the right knowledge?
Right knowledge.
Do you have the right process? Okay, so S&OP kan is the integration between all the business process. If this department don't even know what the other department is doing, kan you can't really integrate. Okay, managementnya, are you ready? Do you have the right budget to support this change or not? So typically with the right things in place, then people is okay.
Okay, thank you. Very useful information. Thank you very much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Untuk datang hari ini untuk berbagi bersama kita terkait tentang S&OP dan bagaimana kita bisa menjalankan S&OP ini di perusahaan. Terima kasih untuk waktunya.
Thank you so much.
Terima kasih sudah menyaksikan Supply Chain Dialog. Jangan lupa untuk menyaksikan episode-episode berikutnya untuk mendapatkan informasi dan juga isu-isu terkini terkait dengan supply chain dan logistik. Bagi Anda yang tertarik untuk mendalami bidang supply chain management, jangan lupa untuk cek program training dan sertifikasi oleh ISCA Indonesia di website dan media sosial kami. Until next time, see you in the next episode.